In this video net interview at IBC 2011, I'm speaking with Andrew Burke, CEO at Amino Technologies. Hello, Andrew.
Hi.
You've obviously got the Freedom Jump set-top box that you've had for some time as a kind of a companion OTT device to go into homes. And I believe you've upgraded the user interface. So just tell us a little bit about what you've done and why.
The trick of the Freedom Jump is it goes in line with a pay TV source. So out comes the picture from your pay TV box through our box and then into the television. So the trick for us was to create a user interface that didn't obscure that picture from the pay TV source, but gave enough information and was usable enough to allow the consumer to go out and get all the OTT content they need. So we've created something called Live Icons, which is an icon-based UI that sits in the lower third of the picture and is updated automatically to show you the content that you'll see underneath each one of those icons. So if there's an RSS feed with lots of pictures associated with it, they will rotate within the icon. You get a sense of the type of content you'll see if you click on that button, and then it takes you to the content, goes out to the open internet and brings in all the OTT content you need.
Okay, so if you deployed that for a service provider, I mean, would that go in as a companion next to their existing pay TV box if they wanted a way to become hybrid?
It's a perfect example. We don't think that pay TV operators are going to swap out all their plant, all their existing set-top boxes in one go. We believe that they should learn by putting in a companion box to their early adopters, to those people who actually understand what OTT is. Not everybody understands what OTT is, but those people who are asking for that access to the iPlayers of this world, to the Hulus, to complement that pay TV. Give them a companion box, learn from it, because we have software that monitors the usage, understands how well it's working, understands how the video is being delivered, the quality of the video. And then over time, take that learning, and then when you swap your existing pay TV box, you're in a much better state. So when we designed the UI and we designed the box, it was that transition from pay TV to pay TV plus OTT that we had in mind when we created it.
Okay, and can they also get their existing branding in there as well? So can you sort of overlay the OTT UI over their existing pay TV?
Perfect example, because we think with that new UI on the OTT, it should be as aligned to the existing pay TV UI as possible. The last thing a consumer wants is to get another box and go, "Wait, where am I? I'm looking at something completely different." So we allow the branding and the look to match as much as possible of the pay TV solution. So the consumer doesn't think, "Oh, I'm on another box." What they think is, "Wow, I've got a lot more functionality associated with my existing provider, and this is really good. I can go out on the internet and I can see the content that I haven't been able to see before."
Okay, and
that integration is critical.
Okay, and you've also announced that you've added HTTP live streaming to your Aminet IPTV box. So is your whole product range now hybrid?
It is. We've been great at IPTV for a long time, and IPTV with middleware is how most people have implemented that solution. But we thought to ourselves, we've got this high-end OTT box with the Amino Freedom. How can we take some of that learning and some of that functionality and make sure that our core IPTV range does the basics of OTT? We've defined the basics of OTT as HTML5, which is becoming more and more popular, but also HTTP live streaming, so the HLS piece. So one of our existing customers can now say, "I've got my IPTV service, but I want to start adding HTML and HLS services alongside it," and they can do so with their existing units, or indeed if they buy new units.
Okay, and I'll ask you this because I know you look quite far into the future sometimes. I mean, do you think that adaptive bitrate streaming could actually become the only way that we receive video into a set-top box in time?
Great question. I'm spending a lot of time thinking about the whole CDN piece, the whole business about how we get quality. There's a lot of surveys saying that broadband is not going to be able to keep up with the amount of video content that's being consumed on the open internet. So how do we manage that? HLS is a critical way of managing it. But I also think we're going to see edge caching, and I think we're going to see the boxes edge caching. So I think we're going to see peer-to-peer, where you use the box within the consumer's home as a peer for content for the next door neighbour for that particular region, because we are going to have to start taking content to the edge, right to the edge, to supplement or to help this draw that we're going to be putting on OTT. I think OTT content is going to get more and more and more popular. I think devices are going to consume it more and more. Therefore, broadband has to find ways of managing the quality, but also managing the pure bandwidth requirement.
Okay, and we know that telcos are expanding off their fixed networks now using OTT, and Telecom Italia being an obvious example.
They took an off-net strategy. They supply certainly on their own broadband, but they also now supply a proposition on competitors' broadband. That gives them the opportunity, of course, to understand whether they're better or worse. But I think that's getting exciting. I think this off-net strategy is probably the key word for me when it comes to pay TV. I think more pay TV operators will use OTT to go off net, first of all, because it doesn't clash, it doesn't compete, but it also gives them a bigger customer base to spread their word, to spread their brand, to spread their content, to get those consumer relationships. So yes, off-net is probably one of the key words for OTT coming up.
Great, all right, well, thanks very much for your time again, and good to meet you.
Great to talk.